targets, goals, dreams, and objectives. By now, it's mid-February, about 50 days into the new year. Research has said that the majority of us have either fallen short or broken many of our resolutions. This event is the refresher. We consider this your 2023 refresher to help you build your toolkit. So please prepare today to be inspired, encouraged, motivated, reinvigorated from the messages from our 6 speakers today to help you build and rebuild your 2023 toolkit. So today, I'm just going to give you a quick housekeeping rule. We ask that you please put your Zoom on mute as the different speakers go on. And then at the end, if there's any opportunity to share, we'll ask you to unmute. But first, I want to then start introducing the individual speakers. So again, thank you for your attendance today. Thank you for participation in our event. We are excited to help you build your 2023 toolkit. So first speaker for today, Margarita Estrada. She is known by many in her circle as the well-connected writer. She's a professional speaker, author, and coach. She believes in the power of advocating for yourself. So please put your hands together to welcome Margarita Estrada with a speech titled, Advocating for Yourself. Please take it away, Margarita.
Okay, here we go. You are about to confront the most difficult, stubborn, energy-draining person. And every time you are about to face this person, you feel fractured, confused, and so you retreat. That reaction ends today. Today, you will learn tools and tricks that will allow you to advocate for yourself. A very important skill at home, in your social circles, and especially in your place of employment. We will cover barriers to self-advocacy, the self-advocacy mindset, and what you can do today. Last August, my friend Karen contacted me on LinkedIn. She told me that her organization was holding a summer party for 300 to 500 people and that they needed a speaker who was polished, funny. And I said, okay, I have 1 covered and 2 covered. Then she said, and someone that knows the pharmaceutical industry inside and out. And I said, well, that leaves me out. So I wrote back to her and I said, let me think about it for a moment. And as I'm driving home, her image comes to my mind. And that was a sign to me that she was the one that was supposed to deliver this talk. The next day I go on LinkedIn and I contact her. And I said, Karen, I nominate you. You are the one that are supposed to speak at that event. She tells me, Margarita, they are looking for a polished speaker, a funny person, and one that knows the pharmaceutical industry. I said, yes, and that is you. I have seen you speak many times, and I know that you can do this. The question is, what was stopping Karen from seeing herself in that role? Let's take a look at barriers to self-advocacy. And I am sure that many of us present have been through these fears. Fear number 1, the fear of backlash. Did you know that in March of last year, Indeed.com did a survey of 2,100 women, and 75% of them said that the fear of backlash and how it would affect their career was the main reason why they did not advocate for themselves. Does that sound familiar to you? Fear number 2, fear of others' opinion. I would say that 99.99% of us are guilty of this fear. We are raised to please others, to always be sure that other people like us, right? And that we pay attention to their opinion. But sometimes that does not work, and it can be destructive to our development. And finally, fear of others' disapproval. And this fear usually comes because we have respect of authority figures. In our home, it's our parents. In school, it's our teachers and guidance counselors. And at our jobs, of course, it's our managers, our bosses. These are the fears that Karen was going through. And I was trying to get her out of it. It was time for her to learn the self-advocacy mindset, a 3-step program that will get you on the way to advocate for yourself. I know who I am. I know what I can offer. I know what I'm worth. Let's look at the first step. I know who I am. All of us go through this fight within ourselves between the created me and the authentic me. The created me is the one that raised you, your parents, your social circles, your social status, your financial status, right? Everything that created who you are. The authentic you is the one that outgrows all of that and realizes deep in the center of your soul that you need to make a change. There's something different about you, but that created you holds you back. And this is what I was trying to make Karen see. It was a constant fight that she had within herself. I know what I can offer. So I'd like you to think about these questions for a moment, or these statements, I should say. I am qualified because when asked Karen, what made her qualified to deliver this talk? She tells me, well, I have experience, I have education. I said, okay. So I told her, what is your proof? She tells me, well, I've always been a team leader. Everybody knows me as a team leader. And I know that I can deliver this talk because I know how pharmaceutical people think. And then I asked her, what is it that you are going to increase? What is the buy-in? And this is where she hesitated. I said, what are you going to bring? She tells me, well, I could bring more motivation to my team. And I thought, very good. You see, if you say that you're qualified for something and you have to show the proof, you have to show a buy-in. Are you going to increase sales? Are you going to increase motivation? Are you going to bring a sense of unity? Whatever it takes, you have to know what you can offer. And finally, I know what I'm worth. This one is a biggie. How many of us have worked in a position for a very long time? We decide that we're not appreciated and that we need to move on. But what stops us from moving? Finally, we decide to do it. We move, and then we find out that the person that was hired in our place is making more money, possibly double the money of what we were making. Could it be that you were not making that money because you did not advocate for yourself, because you did not keep a record of all the work that you have done? Think about that for a moment. If you're in that position right now, it's worth it for you to think where you are right now. I'd like you to think about this statement. I believe that the value I bring to you is. I asked Karen, what do you think is the value that you bring? And she couldn't figure it out. I said, it's your unique self. Fellow Toastmasters, I'd like you to try this experiment in your clubs. Have 5 people know a speech, word by word, and then have them deliver it. And you'll see that they all deliver it differently. Why? Because their unique self, that unique person, the authentic self, is talking. So this is Karen's victory. She says, hi, Margarita. I hope you're having a terrific Thursday. Thank you for encouraging me to advocate for myself. The CEO of my company approached me about starting a mentorship program for public speaking for our subject matter experts. I'm so excited. Do you see what happens when you advocate for yourself? Sure, I was used as an instrument, but still, she had to take the step, right? Had she not advocated for herself, she could have experienced loss of self-esteem, loss of opportunity, and possible loss of income. The one thing you can do today is to ask yourself this question. What is my authentic self telling me to do? Ask yourself that question and then follow your heart. Remember the self-advocacy mindset. I know who I am. I know what I can offer. I know what I am worth. And notice that each statement begins with I know, I know, I know. And it resonates in the center of our being. And I'd like to end with this quote. In a world that wants us to whisper, I choose to yell. Thank you.
Thank you, Margarita, for this powerful message on how to advocate for yourself. And that's such a timely and perfect message in this time where, as we approach the beginning of the year and have to find reasons and tools to help us to be our own best supporters. Thank you for sharing about the self-advocacy mindset, something that we all need to adopt. Now for our second speaker, fellow Omni-Pro Speakers Bureau member, Mr. Isaak Gelbinovich. He is a master storyteller, a published author, presentation coach, and international speaker. He will share with you a few tips, tools, and techniques today on how to tell a story and instead of just focusing on giving a speech. So please put your hands together for Isaak Gelbinovich. Don't give a speech, tell a story. On to you, Isaak.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you. And thank you all for giving us a gift of your time. I am a big advocate of storytelling. And a huge tool in your toolbox is a story. Make a point, tell a story, or tell a story and make a point. I do a lot of workshops, a lot of presentations, and every time I deliver any presentation, it's based on stories. And story doesn't have to be mind-blowing, life-changing. It can be everyday story about you, about your family, about issues that you had and how you overcame them. Because we want to know, we want to hear. And when you put yourself in a story, you're advocating for yourself. And when you come up with a resolution, you're advocating for yourself. You're sharing a little piece of you with your audience. And that's priceless. One of my presentations I do is about conversations, about talking to strangers. You may say, Isaak, what are you talking about? Our parents told you not to talk to strangers. Do not talk to strangers. Remember this tune in your head? Are you a parent? If you are, you're telling this to your children. I know because I'm a parent. I told this to my daughter. In fact, I told her to run away from strangers if one approached her. And I was right, and your parents were right, and you're right. But when we were little, what about now? My daughter graduated bachelor's degree in journalism from Boston University. It was her job to talk to strangers. Junior year, second semester, she calls me in tears. She says, Papa, I'm going to change my major. So, what's going on? Wait a second. What's happening? They had a class. And in that class, they had to talk to strangers and then write articles based on an interview. She had such a hard time talking to strangers, she wanted to change her major. I said, well, let's have a cool down period. Let's hold off for a couple of weeks. Let's have a father-daughter conversation. Let me give you some ideas. Let me share some techniques. Don't treat this interview process as a dreaded job. Treat it as a game. It's a wonderful game because there are no losers in this game. Everybody wins from a good conversation. Prepare for the conversation. Prepare the question. Listen to the answers. Base next question on the answer you get. It's like reading a book, like finding out about people, about places. Treat it as a game. 2 weeks later, she called me, she's not going to change her major. So when you talking to strangers, magic happens. Strangers become acquaintances. Acquaintances become friends. We're building relationships, personal and business. Magic of a conversation. A lot of times people tell me, well, I'm not an expert. What I'm going to talk about? I don't know what to talk about. You don't need to be an expert to have a conversation. Absolutely not. I was invited to a networking event. It was MTA, a networking event. Now, I was never related to any MTA job. I was never in any MTA department. So basically, it's safe to say that I have no idea about what's going on in MTA. The only person I knew in the entire event was one person who invited me. That's all. I didn't know anybody else. So I started talking to people, just introducing myself, asking how you're doing. But pay attention to the body language. A very powerful body language, grossly underused. So when I talk to strangers and I start talking to people, I watch how they respond. Are they looking at you? Are they talking to you? I started talking to a young lady and I see that she's looking around the room. She's looking for somebody. Well, I politely excused myself and moved to somebody else because she was not talking to me. She was looking for somebody else. No problem. There are plenty of people to talk to. I ended up sitting at a table with a group of people, and I was next to a nice young lady, and I started talking to her, and I asked, what are you doing in MTA? And she said, I'm a logistical engineer. Oh, needless to say, I have no idea what it is. It's okay. I asked, what is logistical engineering? And she started telling me about it a little bit. And then she said, we're working on a project. So, well, please, what kind of project it is? She said, well, MTA ordered new cars. And the new cars are 1 foot longer than the old cars. Well, in my mind, it's like, okay, so what's the project? Where is the project? But when you think about it, it's a huge difference. If we're talking about one car, it's just 1 foot. But if we're talking about 1,000 cars, it's 1,000 feet difference. They need to think about how to clean them, how many people need to be involved, what time is involved, how to store them in a yard because they're 1 foot longer. So I never thought about it. And that's what I told her. See, I said, I'm amazed because I would never think about it. And I have big respect for logistical engineers now because they do very important work. And it's a whole department. They have to think unlike anybody else. Very interesting. So now I know a little bit about logistical engineering. But you see, your conversation partner has to be willing to play the game. When you ask a question, you expect an answer. What if your conversation partner doesn't want to play the game? What happens then? Well, I was picking up my daughter from bus terminal in New York City, in Manhattan. She was visiting from Boston. And we got in the car, it was a bit late, like 10:30 at night, by the time she got out from the bus. So we getting in the car, and she goes, oh, by the way, Daddy, I got my B+ in my media law and ethics test. So, oh, hi, beautiful Rosie, what do they teach you in media law and ethics test? She looked at me and says, media law and ethics, Dad. So obviously she was not participating in a conversation. So what do? You ask another question, and then another question. Push a little bit. Don't be pushy, but dig a little. Don't scare your conversation partner. Don't turn it into an interview, but ask a little, another question. Open-ended question, closed-ended question, and so forth. And that's exactly what I did. Not pushy, but I asked another question, then another one. And we had a lovely conversation on the way home. And I found out, what do they teach them in media law and ethics? And when is the reporter liable for what? What kind of charges can be brought against the reporter? So it's a very interesting subject. Involves ethics, law, and so forth. That's what media law and ethics. So when your conversation partner doesn't want to play the game, dig a little. And don't turn it into an interview. So make a point, tell a story. That's exactly what I do in practically 99.9% of my presentations. And story is a phenomenal tool in your toolbox. Always remember. And people remember your stories. And when they remember your stories, they will remember your point. Once I was in the office training when it was still in person, talk about before COVID, obviously. And a young lady approached me and says, I don't remember your name, but I remember your story. That's the best compliment to a speaker. 6 months ago, I gave a speech and told the story, and she remembered my story. Out of all speeches and all presentations, I gave her my name, gladly, but she remembered my story. So make a point, tell a story. And use your personal stories, because everybody has a story. And only you can tell your story because it's your story. Thank you.
It is my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker. Mario Lewis is an award-winning speaker, energetic, a wonderful presentation coach who provides audiences and individuals with motivational strategies to become powerful, dynamic communicators. Today, he will be delivering as part of his Connect framework, using positivity to connect. Please help me welcome Mr. Mario Lewis.
It is Saturday morning in the Lewis home. I am relaxing in my bedroom and I hear a conversation between my wife, Althea, and my 11-year-old daughter, Amari. You see, my wife had recently bought these earrings called ear cuffs. And these are like longer, fancier, more expensive than those traditional earrings. See, Amari is just like her mother. She likes sparkly things. She sees these ear cuffs on my wife's vanity, tries them on, and falls in love. Deeply in love. You see, Amari is visiting her friend Izzy's house later that afternoon, and she wants to share off these short. There's ear cuffs. Mom, can I please wear them over to Izzy's house? My wife shakes her head. No. See, Amari is a child who doesn't usually take no for an answer. She also gets that from her mother. So Amari asks again in a more gentle manner. This time, Althea more definitively says, no, I haven't even warned them yet. This time, Amari gently hugs her mother and asks, please, Mom, these will make me look so cute. Now, Althea is totally annoyed. I said, no, these are for special occasions. To which Amari smiles and calmly responds, Mom, my whole life is a special occasion. I overheard and couldn't help myself, and I started to chuckle. You could see the annoyance drift from Althea's face as she starts to chuckle. And Amari got to wear her ear cuffs over to Izzy's house. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, friends, the power of positivity can win over even the toughest mom, and it will even win over the toughest audience. Today, I'm going to share with you a few thoughts, tips, tools, techniques on how to help you better connect with your audience using the power of positivity. But the good news is that despite all of the negative circumstances you may have experienced, positivity can be taught as well as it can be learned. And the further good news is that once you have embraced a spirit of positivity within your life, within your messages, others will be infected. Because as the Arnold has said, positive thinking can be contagious. So when you step on stage with a positive attitude, with a positive mindset, equipped with a positive message, it will be contagious, and you too will connect. So as you think about being more positive in your life and in your messages, I want to share with you a few thoughts on how to connect with your audience. 3 ways. First, focus on being non-verbally positive. First, gesture actively. Understand that your hands are typically the first parts of the body that an audience or a person will notice. Not your face, not your smile, not your eyes. Your hands convey a sense of safety and security. And this goes back to caveman days when people carried rocks and sticks. Visible hands, open hands, allows others to know that it is safe to approach and to come to you. Use your open hands and use your gestures to create a positive environment, to create a welcoming environment to connect with your audience. Next, your facial expressions. They help to create a positive environment for your audience. When you smile, the audience can tell whether it is fake or whether it is authentic. An authentic smile builds a strong connection with the audience. It pulls people in. Even today, in a Zoom environment, I always make sure I smile. And before I pick up a phone to make a call, I always smile before I talk. And it helps me to have even more positive conversations. Last but not least, be vocally expressive. My formula is energy plus enthusiasm plus emotion equal engagement, audience engagement, because it creates a positive environment for your audience. Next, I want you to think about being verbally positive. Verbally positive. A few years ago, when I was competing in the district speech contest, I started my message with a joke about my visit to a doctor's audience. After a series of practices, I couldn't understand why the audience wasn't responding to my humor. The joke fell flat. Until one of my coaches explained the negative connotation to the simple words, doctor's visit. See, understand that people associate illness, sickness, disease with the word doctor's visit, and they were anticipating a negative outcome. They were expecting a difficult story. And I simply changed those 2 words to annual physical. And all of a sudden, I received the laughter that I was expecting. those simple words, that simple change in words created a positive impact for my speech and for the audience. So understand that as a speaker, your words are your tools to connect with people. Understand the impact of your words. And it is with that understanding that you will be able to optimize your words by selecting more impactful, more powerful, more vivid words within your speeches and within your messages. Use words that create excitement and emotion and anticipation. It is important to replace negative words, harsh words, difficult words with more pleasant, kind. And these words will subconsciously impact your positive way, and they will receive the message. Last but not least, ask questions to your audience to create excitement and to create emotion, and then pause to listen and to wait for their response. And I'll give you a couple examples of using positive words to create motion. So instead of saying, "How are you doing today?" ask, "Did anything good happen today?" People will anchor to the word good, and they'll start thinking about all the good things rather than all of the random things that happened. Or instead of, "What's going on at work?" ask, "Working on anything great today? Working on anything exciting?" Or instead of saying, "What are you up to? Any cool vacations planned?" Use positive words like good, exciting, cool vacations to anchor your audience. Next, be emotionally positive. Use self-affirmations to create a positive mindset. Understand that affirmations are positive declarations that you can make to yourself and that you can use as a tool to overcome negative thought patterns. Affirmations give you the power to change your negative self-beliefs and to help create a new belief system. It allows you to bring positivity into your life and into your messages. Also, wishing someone else the same happiness, fulfillment, and joy that you wish for yourself. Research has found that simply wishing others well has a positive impact on your own emotions. Offering kindness reduces anxiety and creates feelings of social fulfillment and connection. Basically, when you wish other people good, good things come back to you. Before I present, just like today, I think of how grateful I am for the audience. I am grateful for the opportunity to share a message that hopefully will have a positive impact on the audience. And throughout that message, I try to express gratitude and thankfulness, whether it be verbally, non-verbally, as well as emotionally. So friends, I would like to leave you with a final quote, a final thought. Anxiety and excitement are very similar emotions. The only simple difference is your mindset, a positive mindset. So remember today that positivity will win over the toughest audience, just like it won over the toughest mom. So in 2023, as you build your toolkit, I challenge you to live with positivity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mario, for delivering your wonderful presentation. And now I will introduce our next speaker. Darlene Blanco is a passionate workforce executive, career coach, and inspirational speaker. She believes in paying it forward and strengthens local communities by curating and delivering customized training workshops that inspire self-confidence and outline paths to career success. I'm so excited that you are going to see a fabulous presentation by Darlene Blanco. Please help me welcome her as she delivers Managing Expectations. Darlene Blanco. Take it away, Darlene.
Thank you, Margarita. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you this evening. Thank you so much for zooming on in and being a part of this amazing presentation. Tonight, I want to talk to you all a little bit about managing expectations, level setting, what that means to you. As you see, we are gearing up for a strong, positive start to the year. But before we can really think about how this year is going to play out for us, we should take a moment to manage those expectations. Folks, I love leadership. I manage teams and I want to inspire them to be great. I'm tough, I want the best, and I stand by my brand, which is excellence. But as I think about managing expectations and I help leaders develop their teams, the things that we need to think really close and stay really tightly knit with is the fact that if we don't have a good grasp of our time management and the things that we're planning to do, if we don't have a plan in place, it's not going to work. And managing expectations is a huge factor in all of that. I want to tell everyone about a couple of different things and strategies that I'm using in my practice. These are some really great tools for your toolkit. So as you think about the things that you want to accomplish, step one is to really reprioritize your time and expectations around what you can actually do. And what I'm saying here, guys, is self-awareness. Know your capacity. We have only 24 hours in a day, and we want to say yes to everything. But truth be told, we need to take a step back, rein it on in, and think about what are the things that are most meaningful to us? What do we really want to be focused on? Do we have a plan in place? Do we have a list of items? Because we only have 24 hours in a day. So I want to think really strategically about how to use that time. Are there things that you're doing that maybe kind of are wasting time and maybe you don't even need to be doing those things? Let's take a reassessment about what we do with our 24 hours in our day. Know your capacity. Reprioritize those projects. Look at the things that you're working on and say to yourself, okay, does this make sense? Not just thinking about what makes sense, but listing it out. And what is it you're trying to actually do? How are you getting to your goal? What are the things that are helping you get there? And what are the things that are time sucks that are absolutely not needed for you on your journey? Then we want to stop and say to ourselves, gosh, we should really think about, as leaders, managing our expectations also means managing those assumptions. Don't assume. Don't assume. We do it all the time. We make assumptions because it's just easy to do, right? You might say to yourself, oh yeah, I'm not going to do it. No, don't make assumptions. Don't assume that others that are in your camp and that are on your team or the folks that are going to help you get there are in it the way you are, because chances are they might not be. So when you make your list, then you have to think about not making assumptions and making sure that you're bringing all the people together in the right way. Because capacity building on a team is important. Really difficult to get anywhere if you're not understanding what the framework in its entirety looks like. We also want to make sure we're being clear. Clarity is important. Communication is the key. Regardless of any skill that we have out there, the way that we communicate is going to be a game changer in the things that we're going to be able to accomplish. As a leader, we are influencing others. We are expecting that we're going to lead them to great things, to accomplish things in life that they may not have thought that they're actually able to do. But as a leader, it is also in our best interest to make sure that we are being fully clear about all the items that are included in this task and on this journey that we are on. When we all come together and say, here's what we're going to accomplish. How are we going to get there? What does it mean for me? But what does it mean to you? Because when we can be clear about that expectation and what that end result is going to look like, then we can really make sure that we're putting the right plan in place. If I have a vision, but the people that are sitting around me with me to get this vision accomplished don't have the same vision, we're not going the same way. And expectations will be mismanaged, relationships will be damaged, and some of these relationships, once they're severed, it's completely impossible, it can be, to get them back. As a leader, we want to be careful. Don't over push, right? I say it all the time. I demand excellence. I want everything to be perfect. I don't want anything to fall through the crack. That's my brand. My brand is to make sure that I deliver. And I'm going to help teams deliver. But guess what? It gets really uncomfortable when you're in that whole process of, making things happen and, letting people know that some feedback and they might not appreciate it. They might not see it the way you do. Managing those expectations is being clear on those communications, but also being thoughtful about how you're communicating. Because as you've heard my colleagues early on all make a mention of it, you want to make sure that you're being impactful in your communication and that people want to say to you, gosh, I want to work with this individual. They're really wonderful to work with. I know that they're going to listen to me. I know that we're going to work well together. And that's what people want. You want to make sure that although it is uncomfortable to do things that are different, and it's uncomfortable when we have to go and reach a goal that's like, we've never done it before. It's not impossible, but it's uncomfortable. And then we want to make sure that we can get there, right? That we're believing that we're all going to come together and we're going to get there. Leading teams is a very difficult task. There are so many different personalities on teams. And one of the things that I want to say is I've learned a lot over the last few years, because every time I'm in a leadership capacity to manage a team, I end up realizing that my expectations have to be kind of put in check, because I'm not having the same vision sometimes that they're having. And this is why I put the framework together, so that we can all come together and sit at the table and make those conversations be impactful so that we can get to our end result. I mentioned earlier about relationships and making sure that we're being mindful, and self-awareness is really important. Self-awareness is something that as a leader, you just need to have it. You need to get the feedback. You need to know the influence, the impact. How do people feel in your presence? Do they want to be around you? Do they want to work with you? Do they want to help you achieve a goal? Everybody knows about the with them, right? Because nobody shows up to anything unless there's something in it for them. So go back to that with them, work on it together as a team, so that you can really manage those expectations. I'm going to rewind a little bit so we can go back to these main points I covered, because they're really important, and I want to just make sure that I reinforce them so that you can include them in this amazing toolkit that we at Omni-Pro have put together for you tonight. Reprioritize those projects. Reprioritize your focus. Make that list. It is important. Don't make assumptions. Not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody wants what you want. We might all be on the same path to a goal, but there are different things that are pushing our buttons and inspiring us. So we want to make sure that we don't make assumptions. And we want to be clear. And I can't express this enough. Be clear, but be kind. You can send an email that you can have a difference of opinion. Be kind in the way that you communicate, so that that individual on the receiving end will say, gosh, she pointed something out that I didn't realize. This is actually some good stuff here. And they'll be more receptive to your feedback. Managing expectations for leaders is a difficult task, We're always having to adapt different kinds of leadership patterns when we're in our workplaces or even in our family lives. But these pieces and strategies and tools are really important because we do only have 24 hours in a day. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing our time effectively and that we're doing a great job of managing our expectations. Thank you for your time this evening, everyone, and good luck to you all as you continue on in your journeys throughout the year.